we're gonna do something interesting. I've noticed that most people don't really just sit and enjoy themselves, or just kind of be present in the moment. And even though I don't know if you're still isolating or not, I don't know how you're playing that game, but I'm not playing, and I'm just kind of sitting here having a cup of coffee, having a little smoke, and literally doing nothing but listening and feeling and just enjoying myself. And every time my thoughts wander to where my emotions are where my thoughts and emotions aren't the same, I just bring myself back. So I figured you can hang out with me and just be. One of my friends messaged me on Facebook, and we were talking about attention deficit disorder and how her kids were having some issues with focus and stuff. And I want you to comprehend, all of you, that the point of your mind and your heart, your thoughts and your emotions, they're not supposed to be opposing each other. When they're opposing each other, it means there's something off, and you should think about that. Your brain is it's not you, it's a computer. A organic, divinely designed processing unit. Everything that you are, isn't supposed to be led by that. So when your mind goes wonky and you're feeling a certain way, like erratic, or there's, this pent-up energy inside you, or you're just fidgety and you can't sit still, or you're doing something and you're attempting to focus yourself on that, like drawing or meditating, and your mind just keeps wandering. It's supposed to. I know it seems contradictory, but it's supposed to. Your brain, your mind has been programmed for so many years to function like a TV with commercials playing nonstop. And what you've been attempting to do all this time is to control the commercials. That's not how this works. What you should be doing, and I'm totally shoulding you should be attempting to maintain an emotional state first. Conjure that emotion within you first. If you're drawing and you want to create this piece of, a flower, what does it feel like to be looking at that flower? You don't have to visualize it. You don't have to imagine it. You don't have to, be the perfect artist or anything. And you don't have to think about how you're going to draw it. Just simply feel it out. And when the discrepancy shows up where you can't feel it out and your mind's racing, and because of the thoughts you're having, your emotions feel weird, it's almost as if the off switch is closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, and attempting to feel for your heartbeat without touching your chest. Try that. Just close your eyes. You don't have to go into some insane meditative state or whatever. Just simply close your eyes and just keep breathing normally. Be aware of your breath cycle. And the natural rhythm should be about 3 to 4 seconds of breathing in, a couple of seconds of holding it in, and then releasing it. And the out breath should be also like 3 to 4 seconds at minimum. Like that's the most simplest way to where your body remains at a calm level. If you're breathing in every second or every 2 seconds and you're not even holding that breath and you're just letting it out, it's basically like you're chain smoking oxygen, which makes you anxious and paranoid and fidgety and erratic. It's like pushing fast forward on a VCR or your TiVo or whatever. Your breath controls the pace. Your heart controls the emotions and the electromagnetic field, which completely forms a shield around you that repels any form of external radiation. And your mind is the navigator, the receiver, the receptor, the satellite, the telepathic device you have within you. You use the mind to create an image. You use the heart to feel that image and feel out the depths of that image. And then you do it. And you utilize the breath to remain in a what's that word? Synchronized? I guess so. You use the breath to synchronize. So when you're having ADHD moments or you're having fear or panic, it's because you're not breathing. And because you're not breathing, your emotions go wonky and fearful because you're not oxygenating your blood, which then makes your thoughts go totally afraid, and you tune in through the heart to a stream of commercials that are fear-filled. And then you're like, oh my God, the world around me is so scary. But it's only scary because you're tuned to the channel through your brain because of your emotional state, which is caused by your lack of breathing properly. I'm I don't know how to simplify this for you anymore. So right now, simply feel for your heartbeat. If you're thinking, it's fine. Let your thoughts go. Like, you can ignore a TV, can't you? Just let them go. Right now isn't the time for you to be monitoring your thoughts. Just feel for your heart. Usually when I'm feeling from my heart, there's like a sadness. And the more I feel for it, the sadder I get, which kind of repels me. But if you feel through that sadness, you get to something else. It's like a layer upon layer. And you've created these barriers around yourself, from ADD to panic and fear and all these other bullshits, so that you don't go deeper into yourself. It's always about the breath. It isn't about what you're eating and what you're injecting into yourself, or who you're sleeping with or who you're not. It doesn't matter. None of those things matter. Nothing outside of you matters. Because once you establish your electromagnetic field, once you're in your heart center and you can control your emotional state through your breathing, to where then that controls your thoughts and the channels you're tuned into. Once you can do that, nothing matters. You become like a living god. Poisons don't affect you, radiation won't affect you, harm against others means like it isn't even in your spectrum, you will never ever harm someone else because you aren't even tuned into the channel of violence anymore. Fear, panic, none of that stuff will matter to you. It just becomes a story you were telling yourself to stay away from your heart center. All the stuff about being afraid of, the phone towers and sicknesses, bacterias and the others, or the the elites or the societies, all of that stuff, all those stories you told yourself, they're really irrelevant to you. In this present moment, where you are, what you're doing, every story you have told yourself to avoid being still means nothing. You know this. You know that deep down inside of you, there is nothing that can harm you unless you allow it, and you would only allow it to victimize yourself, to show yourself that it's better that you stay alone and isolated instead of in your own community as a united species. So you make up reasons to separate yourself, and then you justify those reasons by manifesting horrible experiences. There's no one to blame but you, and anyone else outside of you that you've created to blame deserves your forgiveness, because you created the story of suffering in them so that they could in turn create suffering for you, so that you can be justified in your victim mentality. Which all goes back to attention deficit disorder, fear, panic, and anxiety. You're better than that. And the only issue with any of that stuff is breathing. I know it sounds dumb and it sounds boring, but try it. Just spend a minute, spend 10 seconds. You'll notice the difference. You'll notice how much you've been lying to yourself. You'll notice how much you have been pretending to be weak. You'll notice how much you've pretended to be a victim. It's pathetic, really. And I'm done sugarcoating it for you. You're better than your problems. You're better than your depression. You're better than the people that you've manifested to hurt you. You're better than your excuses. You are better than being ruled. You're better than archons. You're better than aeons. You are those beings. Like, that's what you are. You're so much better than the tiny little human you're pretending to be. And you don't even know what a human is. Yet you cling to a belief system that tells you a human is a flesh and bag being that does nothing but follow orders and pay rent. And that you need all these different things to help fix inside of you what you already know you can fix yourself if you just behave differently. I simply cannot show respect to a lot of people in the world. It's not earned. And all these people monitoring each other and policing each other, and these school hall monitors out in the world, and these tanks and these weapons, and these fears, and all the propaganda and the theories here and there, and all this bullshit in the world about rituals and things. Like, sure, they're all real and they're all fake. I don't give a fuck. My point is, why would you belittle yourself enough to play with ants and not know what the ant is actually capable of? And since you're here and you're living on this planet and you're doing all these things, why would you pretend to be pathetic and unable to control your own body? Why would you think that someone else knows better on how to live life for you. Are you going to let me control your body? Are you going to let me control your cities and your world? Do I get to make the decisions for you? I mean, there's benefit, there's pros and cons to everything, right? But you cannot establish what is a pro or a con when you are living in a state of panic and anxiety and fear and you don't know how to breathe. It's consent under duress or distress. It doesn't count. Your intelligence as a species has been lowered. Your ability to comprehend has been decimated. Your knowledge of yourself has been erased. Your connection with other people has been put 6 feet apart, as if you're already underground. Like, what you're eating is all sorts of screwed up. What you're watching is pretty much lies, like the left hand showing you what the right hand's doing, the right hand showing you what the left hand's doing. Neither of you are telling you the truth. And you're just going along for the ride, posting and sharing and memeing and doing whatever the hell it is you're doing, thinking that someone's going to come down and save you. I don't claim to ever channel any religious figure or any spiritual being. I don't claim any of that. What I do claim is the divinity within myself and what I know I am. And if I had the power to save this world, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't lift a sword or a shield to battle any of your battles. I wouldn't take part in any of the wars or any of these games or scenarios you people are playing out. What I would do, though, is tell you, you're tricking yourself. The key is inside of you, and the door has been muddled. And the way to clear that fog of war in front of you is to breathe. People have made such a joke out of knowing thyself and going within the heart center, and they've turned it into this woo-woo bullshit. No, it's quite simple. Sit your ass down and breathe. Stop thinking. If you can't stop thinking, stop paying attention to the thoughts. Pay attention to your heart instead. If you can't do that, take your hands and draw circles in your hand, like this. Take your finger in your hand and do this. Just feel yourself. Take your hands, touch them, look at them. Do nothing but be aware of yourself. You're alive. You are not in a machine. You are not some foot soldier. You are not a cog in some clockwork doomsday thing. You're not going to, wipe yourself off the face of the planet unless you want to and you want to experience what that's like. Like, no one's coming to chase you and force you to do anything unless you allow it. Like, you calm down. Breathe. And just be aware of yourself. And be aware of how much people have told you that the world around you isn't real, that you're in a matrix, and that you're in a dream state, and that this and this and that. But how many other people have told you that there's other planets and people popping into machines and, devices that are used for healing to come into this planet to help you guys out here, because the density of this planet is so high that people can't just incarnate here. So they have to do it from other planets. How much they've told you about archons and how they can't incarnate here, and they use the other places to manipulate people here. You've been told all these stories about all these years, and 99% of them are a lie, except for what you are. The world around you has been destroyed, and you think it's been happening naturally. The human is being attempted to be turned into a machine. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you. You're being tricked by yourself, another version of yourself, to see if you're really human or not. And the way that happens is to distract you from yourself, from your breath and your body and your mind. And if every theory, if everything is true, which in some way it is, but it's not truth, then the answer is still you. The solution is you. The miracle is you. The savior is you. The choice to be free is in you. But the way to get you to ignore that is by making you afraid. Too afraid to realize the most common sense thing. Just breathe. Because once you do that, you'll realize, like I told you in the beginning of this video, once you become aware of your heart, there's a sense of how stupid you've been. And I mean that in the most loving way. You realize, you become aware of how much you've lied to yourself and how much you've manipulated yourself. You see the lies in all the stories. You start seeing the delusion in everything. And you don't need to be a god or a demigod or an angel or a fallen angel to know this. You have a heart. And no enemy shows up on your path unless you invite them. God, how many more people have to incarnate on this planet to tell you that you're gods? Freaking ridiculous, man. Like you've turned the term God as a species into some omnipotent, omniscient thing. The only omnipotent and omniscient and omnipresent thing is the force within you. Not some old man on a throne. If something is infinite, if something is boundless and eternal and limitless, why the hell would it tell you what to do? It wouldn't, unless it's not that and it's trying to trick you and control you. Because it can't do what you can do. So, how do you figure out all this for yourself? How do you know who's lying and who's not? And how do you know what's going on? Just breathe. 99% of all the bullshit you have on YouTube is a lie. What you have on all these other sources of media is a lie. They're distractions. For 23 minutes you've been listening to me. Has the external world mattered in any way? It's just been song, right? The sound of cars, the wind, the food dehydrator, the rain dripping, car tires, colors in the shadows, the lights, and a voice kind of raspy telling you things you probably didn't want to hear, and things you probably don't comprehend yet, but most of it seems kind of crazy, but also there's something in it that seems familiar to you. Am I right? So do yourself a favor. When you start noticing that you're panicking or anxious or afraid or angry or sad or any of those emotional scale energies that are below the threshold of boredom, Google it. There's images and graphs for you to show you. When you get below the boredom point, stop distracting yourself with what's happening. Simply be present. Find your heartbeat. Listen to something. Look at something natural. Look at nature. Feel something, preferably inside of yourself, a heart, your breath. And then control your thoughts. Feel that everything is all right. Feel victorious. Feel like the hand of glory of Source itself came down and said, you get to survive and thrive. What does that feel like? What does it feel like to have every horror story you've ever known be shown to be just a story and an illusion to get you to be afraid? And that the truth is that you're indestructible. And that any pain you've ever felt in your body, you did it to yourself. What does that feel like? This includes people dying in your life. This includes suffering, limb breakages, diseases, cancers, all of it. All of it. You did it to yourself. You manifested it for yourself to show you something, but you were too egotistical to realize what it is you're trying to show yourself. How does that feel? Kind of makes you angry, doesn't it? Why? Why would somebody get so angry? Why would somebody get afraid? Because I can see what you're hiding. And you're hiding someone who knows everything's fine and all you have to do is be aware of who you are. But as long as you don't do that, you can be afraid of everything you want. Manifest whatever monsters you want. Just remember, you can create bad things, right? So you can also create good things. Or you can continue to be afraid of people who have the same stream of consciousness in them as you do. So you're walking around talking to these people or not talking to them or looking at the world and going, what are they doing? But what you're not realizing is they're you. They're you doing what they're doing because they didn't live the life you're living. So they didn't get the choices that you got to get you to be who you are. Their children didn't grow up the way your children did. Their grandparents didn't grow up the way your grandparents did. They learned differently than you. So they're programmed differently than you. So when you go out there and you're afraid of these people, you're being afraid of an aspect of yourself. The whole wide world is your mirror. Remember that quote? So just breathe. Feel that beautiful golden heart inside yourself. Go thump, thump, thump. That's your life. You're real. You live and you exist. You are loving and you are capable of so much horrible things and so much beauty. You're in the school of life. And that school only exists inside you. Once you graduate, you realize that everybody out here was simply waiting for you to get it. And they all had to play a part. But only around you. Just breathe. Everything is so okay that you can't comprehend how okay it is because you have surrounded yourself in lies. Even if there's a famine, even if there's another war, even if there's planned whatevers and, injections, it doesn't matter. You're indestructible. Nothing can harm you, nothing can destroy you unless you think it can. For all you know, the moment you get mandated anything injected into you, you end up controlling or evolving or ascending into this god being or a superhuman or a mutant, or you turn into a dinosaur, or you start flying and you teleport to some other planet. I mean, the possibilities are endless to how a human body would respond to any external stimuli created by itself to get itself to evolve. You are a being of adaptive evolution, slowed down in perception of what you can comprehend to frame by frame by frame by frame, and you call that time. Oh, I just got the most wonderful smell of someone with a campfire or a fireplace out here, mixed with rain and wet grass. That smells great. I love you. I hope this video helps you. I hope it triggered you some way. I hope you got irritated. I hope you found your peace. There's no way I can assure you that you're going to be fine, because you won't be if you don't allow yourself to be. So when you're feeling anxious or panicked or feared or you don't know what to do, just stop doing anything. Stop trying to create anything. Just breathe. Pick an emotion you want to feel and tell yourself thoughts that'll help you feel that emotion. That's what affirmations are. That's what subliminal videos are. I'm just giving you a thought you can feel, you can think over and over until you feel it. And once you feel it, you'll start doing something in the world as if that thought is real. So you're safe. You're safe. You're safe. You're safe. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You are God. You are God. You are God. Breathe.